right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle. I just realized I wasn't looking at the camera. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, today I have a little bit of a twist as to what I want to do for a topic, and I'm honestly using a different camera as well. And so a lot going on today because I want to try two different things. Number one, we got a new camera that is honestly it's probably the best investment I think we've had, honestly, in terms of anything we've done business-wise for content or for marketing, anything like that. It's called a DJI. It's like a hand pocket fucking vlogging camera, but literally it's right in front of me. And you can see kind of how the video it's a little bit distorted compared to the other camera. The other camera is a video camera, so it's a little bit higher quality. But this one here fits right in your fucking pocket, so it's insane. So I'm gonna try doing the video podcast with this because I can do it virtually anywhere, which is fucking crazy. But the second thing is on my laptop today, I actually have a presentation that I ran on Monday. So most of you guys know I run a community call every Monday with my team, and I do that with another coach named Mark. He's from Chicago. He's a fucking phenomenal guy, and his community as well. But the big thing is like I was going to take that actual episode, not episode, but that presentation. I got permission from everyone to record it because we record it. We give it to the community members for anybody that can't make it to the time that we have for the call. But it was a really good topic, and I recorded it, and I was going to use that for this week's episode of the podcast, but I honestly just didn't want to take away from the genuine connection our community has. And as much as everyone gave me permission to share their takeaways, because like again with the recording of the actual Zoom call meeting, you'd hear their takeaways, you'd see them on the video as well. I just wanted to keep that separate. I think that's a very private entity that I have behind closed doors with the community, and I love it so much. So I figured I'd just re-record just the episode with the same presentation. Now you guys aren't going to be able to see the presentation, but you guys will be able to hit the same topics. But today's topic is how to really unplug and log off. A lot of us work a lot. A lot of us are doing have very ambitious goals, and we work. That's all we fucking do. And especially with it being the end of March right now, the beginning of April, the first 3 months of the year are gone. Do you know what I mean? So most of us, many of us have been 10 toes down, chin up, chest out, just fucking grinding, putting in the work, putting in the reps. And a lot of us have trouble unplugging. A lot of us have trouble taking time off of work. Some of us really struggle with that. And that's why I think this was a great call for the community, let alone a podcast episode as well, is because this is something I'm struggling with heavily right now. And the reason why I'm struggling with that is because I genuinely love what I do. I love grinding. I love going to the gym. I love challenging myself. But at the end of the day, life, we work to live and enjoy our life. You know what I mean? We're not living our life to work. So I think it's really relevant to have a conversation around what logging off looks like and what to kind of do when you're not working. And that's actually the best segue into the first step kind of topic, because the first kind of topic we talked about in the call was just because you're not working, that's not the same as relaxing. A lot of us will sit there and say, well, I'm not at the gym, or I'm not going to work, or I'm not doing something proactively to progress my life. That doesn't mean you're not working. Just because you're sitting there and just doing nothing doesn't mean you're relaxing. Just because you're not working or not grinding doesn't mean you're actually proactively nurturing your soul, proactively rejuvenating, and proactively healing. The biggest thing with most people, myself included, is I just wouldn't work. And if I wasn't working, I felt like I was relaxing. So just because you have time off of work, you have to make it intentional. Just because you have empty space that you're not actually working and grinding and doing something proactive to progress your life doesn't mean you're relaxing. And once you understand that, you'll really realize that all the times that you take time off of work or put these boundaries in place to protect your energy to recover, most of the time you're not recovering, which is why you're still exhausted, which is why you're still stressed out, which is why you still feel like you're struggling. So the goal here is to not just be emptied and just fucking sit down and look at a fucking wall. You don't want to be doing these types of things. You want to be making sure that you can take time off of work and fill that with something. And that's how you re-spark that motivation, which kind of gets into the next topic, is because most of the reason why you guys have trouble logging off and nurturing your souls is because you don't really know what the fuck to do. It's like the big context of the call that was really like the kind of one of the main reasons why I wanted to share it as the podcast episode is a couple people shared on the call that, as we become adults, we forget to be kids. As we're growing up, we just become an adult, become mature, like maturity, growth, like all these different things where we just sit there and try to be the best versions of ourselves. We lose that childlike avenue of our life. And a lot of the times, and on the call, which was why I thought it was so impactful, there was a couple people that shared saying that the goal as an adult is to be a kid, to do those childlike activities that made you feel like you were nurturing your soul, that made you feel like you were relaxed and enjoying your life. And for me personally, I had a childhood where I grew up fast, in terms of I was out of the house at a younger age. I was kind of taking on adult type things earlier than most other people. So some of that is just, more often in my life, I've been on kind of grinding and trying to survive. So when it comes to relaxing, that's my issues. I don't really know what the fuck that relaxes me or nurtures me. what I have been learning is that I like to do stuff that's creative. So I like to look into like, different things like neurology, physiology, all these little bit of documentaries, finding podcasts, talking about like the way that our bodies work and things like that. I really enjoy that. I enjoy video games. One small thing that actually from a childlike demeanor that I fucking thought was super fun that rejuvenated me and revived me was going to the actual arcade. And it's not the arcade itself that I had a lot of fun with. It was using the points that I accumulated at the arcade to buy these little stupid paper fucking airplanes. And I'm saying all this stuff because when it comes to the grind and the work, we all know what we need to do. We need to track our macros. We need to go to the gym and put in the work. We need to protect our boundaries. We need to make sure we're progressing mentally and emotionally and making sure that our emotional intelligence is growing. And, we know what we need to do to get to the next level of life. But when it comes to logging off or nurturing a soul, do you actually know what makes you feel good? It makes you feel realigned with your purpose and give you clarity. Because from an easy example standpoint, the reason why most of us track macros and track our nutrition is so we can enjoy the foods off that much more. So prime example, most of us track Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you usually have your cheat meal. Now, when you have that cheat meal, usually you indulge, you feel fucking phenomenal. It validates the work you just did last week. And the next day you wake up, you're ready to attack the ground, hit the ground running again and attack your fucking goals. That's the same concept you want to have when you come to logging off and unplugging from work. Like the end of the week, when you're done Monday to Friday, your grind, the typical 9 to 5 kind of grind, which most of us kind of live by. And, even me, I run my life and have a different schedule, but I still kind of operate Monday to Friday. You know what I mean? So it's like Monday to Friday is when you put in the work for the most part. But on the weekend, it's like, what do you actually do to rejuvenate your soul? Just because you sit in the house and, watch Netflix doesn't mean you're doing anything. Like, what can you do to proactively make yourself feel better? Is it visiting family? Is it going for walks? Is it, learning something new? It has to be something that you're 100% relaxed and you want to do it. And the reason why this is so important is because when you're caught up with trying to be the best version of yourself, all you focus on is what you can do what you can do better. When you're looking at everything from the lens of what you can do to do better, to grow and progress, you're eventually going to get burnt out with that. Eventually, and I talked about that on my last episode of the podcast with the 3 stages of life, and you get overwhelmed. This is a huge key as to how to not get overwhelmed, is to know what nurtures you. Big thing for me is going to hang with my nieces. And whatever my nieces want to do, I have fun. They paint my nails. I fucking talk to Barbies. I drive around in this fucking little go-kart thingy. Whatever they want to do, I'm doing it. Sometimes I'm throwing them on the couch for an hour straight, and I fucking hate it. But it's what it does for me. It makes me want to go harder in the gym. It makes me want to go harder for the business, my clients, and everything in that regard. And other small things too, like watching a Netflix series with Emma, where we both set aside time to watch it. Setting aside time with my brother to go hang with him and spend intentional time. Like these things is what rejuvenates me. I know for a fact too, self-expression. That's why I like learning about neurology and the mental health side of things, because I learn about anxiety, depression, and what our body actually does from a physiological level with these emotions. And I just fucking love it. I don't know what it is, but it nurtures my soul. So the goal is to make sure that I fill my downtime up with that. Don't just sit there and just have empty time. Because just because you're not working, like I'm saying, doesn't mean you're progressing and actually getting ahead with actually knowing how to nurture your soul. So once you know what kind of makes you feel good, and if you really don't get like, I don't want to say embarrassed, but a lot of people, like, it's hard to figure out what makes you feel like alive as a kid again as an adult. The reason why I say that it's hard is because like we wear everything as an adult. Like, once you kind of get into high school and kind of graduate, get into college, university, and kind of become an adult, all you try to do is figure out how to survive. Every single one of us goes through that. And a lot of us, sometimes have a better foundation, better support system where we can keep a lot of our life kind of intact and, not lose parts of our souls, if that makes sense. Some of us lose a lot of ourselves growing up. I know I did. So trying to refine that is the absolute fucking hardest part of this if you actually struggle with it, which most of us do. Because not to make it a bigger conversation, but the reason why you guys, and we talked about this on the call as well, the reason why most of you guys have trouble giving yourself that downtime and giving yourself that that nurturing time to rejuvenate, because you guys don't value your self-worth. You don't feel like you're worth it, which is why you do the gym, which is why you do the hard stuff, which is why you're always trying to do the hard work to prove and validate yourself that you're worthy of something. So the big thing with nurturing too is, like, if you don't know what it is, you got to start off by giving yourself permission to do that, to spend time and energy just sitting there to try to articulate it and express it. I didn't wake up and be like, this may sound cheesy, but for a lot of you guys that know, I wasn't close to my family. I stayed away from them a lot. I stayed away. I kind of avoided them for years on end. It wasn't until probably the last 2 or 3 years that I've really started to, especially moving to Mexico, realizing and appreciating time that I didn't really put effort into it like I should have, nor did I really understand my own emotions around it as to why I didn't go around, or when I did go around, what emotions I were feeling. So it wasn't like I just sat there and knew that hanging with my nieces and my brother would rejuvenate me the way it did. But every time I left there, I always felt so much more clear. I always felt so much more like just more rejuvenated, more like I felt like my battery was more charged. So trying to find like what actually makes you tick and what makes you like kind of excited and nurtured and kind of want to relax is fucking hard. But you have to embrace trying to figure out what that is, because once you start finding these small little things that really nurture and rejuvenate you, it is absolutely exhilarating. Like, prime example, when I was a kid, I didn't really go outside a lot. I played video games, sat in the house for like fucking days and hours on end. All my friends would come over, we play the game, and especially when you got Xbox Live or any online games, it was over. Didn't leave the fucking house. I made a lot of my friends on online, to be honest. Now as an adult, not playing for like last 10 years really, a lot of the guys that I work with online, we all have similar schedules and crazy lifestyles. We all just invested into getting online games. So now once a week, we're all going to get together and play the game for like literally just like one day a week. We're going to pick just 4 hours, log it, and just fucking play the game. Don't have any expectations besides sit there and play the game. And it's like something like that makes me look forward to it throughout the course of the week. And it's like I didn't just sit there and wake up and say like, this is what I'm going to do to rejuvenate. It was hard for me to play the game because I felt like I was wasting my time. And again, going back to the self-worth thing. But once you find what makes you feel fucking good, you have to systemize it to stay alive. And then what I mean by systemizing it is actually committing to put the time in. And there's two sides of this. Number one is you either work too much and have trouble giving yourself permission to relax. So your job is to make sure you give yourself that time to relax, to systemize it. So prime example with me, I don't have trouble putting in the work. I can work every day, all day. It doesn't bug me to the point that it actually hurts me. So for me, I have to make sure that when I do play the Xbox or do go visit my niece or do go visit my brothers or whatever it is, I'm 110% present. My phone's not there. I'm not doing work, and I'm actually being proactively not avoiding it. And that's the big thing with my family is I would avoid it. Big thing with the game and anything else that I liked, I would just avoid it and be like, oh, next week or in a couple of days, I got too much work to do today. So for me, it was really making sure I did it. The other side of the fence, the other side is some of us, and this isn't to call some of you out, but I don't want to call it too, but some of us like feeling validated. Some of us like the idea of feeling that we're in the right place in the right time. And when that happens, we let off the gas. I know there's a couple of people that I have worked with in the past, and I know that it's like, they put in a fraction of the work, they see a little bit of results or get a little bit of validation, they completely chill. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have something that that you just get indulged in. Let's say it's like a fucking video game, or it's like a craft, or some type of, let's say it's reading. Let's say it's just something that you just fucking are obsessed with right now. That's a creative in your life that helps you level up and just feel good personally. Doesn't really benefit finances. Doesn't benefit your fitness goals. Doesn't benefit those things. Sometimes it's hard to do the work because we're so obsessed with these things. All right, like for guys, I know a lot of guys get addicted to video games. I know a lot of guys get addicted to doom scrolling. A lot of guys, honestly, like there's all kinds of addictions people get into, but pretty much like you work to relax, and when you relax and really rejuvenate and nurture your soul, you want to go back to the work. But if you're on the side of the fence where you relax too often and don't put in the work, then you're going to have to really make sure that when you nurture your soul, it's limited and you focus on putting in the work to deserve it. So prime example for those people that have like trouble with that winning mindset and really like seeing success because they feel like they're putting in the work, it's really about combing through and reflecting what you feel like you're validated for. Because just because you do let's say 75% of the work in terms of, let's say you have 3 out of 5 workouts, you track 4 to the 7 days, or, your boundaries aren't 100% protected because you fucked up on just committing to them. You don't really deserve 100% of the relaxation time. Now that is a fine line to walk on, because then you might get into the idea that you're unworthy of anything. But again, there has to be some type of give or take here. You can't just sit there and have your cake and eat it too without putting in the work and to deserve it. So there's two sides of that. I feel like most people are on the side where they are working too much and have trouble giving themselves the time off. But there is a small percentage where people just really feel like they deserve to relax, and that's honestly a bigger conversation in itself. The reason why that is probably because they never relaxed their entire life. They've been on autopilot, just trying to survive. So any sign of validation that they can take a break, they try to take it because that's their only kind of permission in their life to give themselves a break, which then, again, not to make it a bigger conversation, but then goes back to the self-worth conversation. But to end it off, in order to keep this kind of idea of nurturing your soul, putting in the work and having that balance, and kind of like have that set up for forever, is you got to play them balancing game, finding what works best for you. Some people are very cut and dry. Monday to Friday they work, they don't give a fuck. Saturday, Sunday is their day. For me personally, I like to work for 2 to 3 days. I like to have a day to myself, 2 to 3 days, day to myself. So I know that's what works for me. So it's a balancing game, because life's going to throw things at you. There's going to be holidays, there's going to be birthdays, there's going to be events, there's going to be sickness, there's going to be shit that comes up that throw you off your course. So really the balancing game is the biggest thing, is like the work to reward ratio. You have to find your balance. Maybe it's 90-10, 80-20, 70-30, 95-5, whatever it is. Put in the work, deserve the time off, take the fucking time off, guilt-free, tell yourself you deserve it, go back to the grind, rinse, repeat. But the crucial part with this is the integrity system, because you can't lie to yourself or anyone else and say you're putting in the work. You know, the integrity system on both sides of the coin, if you're putting in the work and work's going well and it's your time to go and enjoy yourself, you got to stay integral to taking that time off regardless how good your business is doing. I own my business, so finances directly is related to the flows of the business. If there's high flows, I have to take advantage of those high flows, because some other months are a little bit slower than others. So again, for me with that balance, I still have to make sure no matter on those high seasons, I'm still taking that time off to relax and rejuvenate. So I have to hold that integrity super strong there. And if you're on the other side of the fence where you're relaxing too much, you got to hold your integrity high to be honest with yourself. Are you actually putting in the work? Are you actually tracking your macros? Are you actually putting in your workouts? Are you actually protecting your boundaries? Are you being goal oriented enough to say you deserve what you think you deserve in terms of taking time off? You know, but other than that, I thought that podcast, the presentation that we had on Monday, I thought was absolutely incredible, which is why I went to re-record this. And to give you context, this is a little bit longer of an episode, but the calls that we run are an hour. So I thought this would be a little bit better from like a little bit of more impactful short Cliff Notes version of the actual community call that we had, so you didn't have to listen to it for 45 minutes. But nonetheless, a lot of you guys are putting in a hell of a lot of motherfucking work, and I know a lot of you guys relate to me when I say relaxing is something that's very, very hard. And again, not to make it a bigger conversation than it has to be, but again, it does stem down to your self-worth and what you think you're worth. And on both sides of that, you work to earn your worth, and some people, think their worth is there before the work. And it's just about finding that balance as to where you're at, to find that good system to make sure that you're putting in the work to progress, but then also going to let off the gas, unplug 110% and feel your fucking best. And then just hold the integrity system true. And we all got that intuition or gut as to which side of the fence we're on. And if you're on the side of the fence that you're losing, fucking eat the bullet. Embrace it. Suck it. It is what it is. It's fucking gonna suck. Might cry. You might get upset. You might get mad, but fucking embrace it. Get on the other side of the fence where you're in momentum. And again, it's not about perfection. It's just about winning more days than you're losing. Winning more days than you're losing. Putting in more work than you're relaxing. And then eventually you'll find that balance. You'll start to understand that your life is progressing as fast and as according as your plan, while you're enjoying the fruits of your fucking labor. Because at the end of the day, putting in the work is literally a never-ending fucking journey, and you gotta fall in love with the journey, because if you start to resent your life, what's the point of anything? You know what I mean? So other than that, I appreciate you guys all. Hope you guys have an absolute blessed motherfucking week. Keep setting the standards, leading from the front. Let's fucking go.